Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Grassroots Racer. This week, my two guests that I have on, which is a little bit different. We don't normally do that. It's going to be really exciting. So, first of all, we're going to be talking to Justin Lewis and Stacy Vickers. So, these two guys are the founders of a brand new series called Formula RX8. Now, it's a really exciting opportunity, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the future. Now, the first guest of 2024, it's going to be really awesome. Now, guys, if you guys want to be on the podcast, send me a message. My inbox is always open. So, yeah, if you want to have the opportunity to jump on Grassroots Racer, shoot me a message and you'll definitely see yourself on here. So, we're all about encouraging grassroots motorsport. So, if we can, this is why the Formula RX8 series will be good. So, enjoy the interview with Justin Lewis and Stacy, and I think it was really good. So, Justin and Stacy, I'm thrilled to have you guys on the podcast. To kick things off, Justin, could you share a little bit about your early racing experiences? So, sort of, how did you get involved in motorsport and especially RX8 Cups?
So it actually started off with me buying one of those Toyota Yaris GRs. They were like $40,000, and when I read the spec sheet on it, I thought I got to have one of these. So I bought three, and they were such a good deal. And I sold two and made enough money to pay for the third one. And so all of a sudden I had this car, and I started to tinker with it, and I blinked, and then next thing you know, I've spent $1 zillion on it, and I'm doing this time attack stuff. And to be honest, racing against the clock didn't really do it for me. I bumped into my brother just out of a sheer fluke. I was out at Wakefield one day, and my brother races RX8s, and he's actually ex-1992 production car champion, a privateer that went up against Holden and Ford teams and won the championship, so he knows a little bit about racing and race cars and setup. He threw me the keys to his RX8. I took it for a few laps, and I was just gone at that stage. 9,000 RPM, hearing every single noise in the chassis, and I was just gone. And then off to build ourselves our first RX8 car, and we did that. And my first, so that was, I suppose, the answer to your question. That was my sort of introduction, and this year I competed in an RX8 series, and then it was an opportunity to sort of start this series, Formula RX8, and I met this chap here to my left, Stacy Vickers, who's ex Motorsport UK guy, very credible guy, and we've put together Formula RX8.
Yeah, that's an awesome program that we're going to dive right into. And what was the goal with the transition to Formula RX8? What was the goal? How did you want to make this appeal to all the racers out there?
Look, motors. Look, I'm a fast learner, and I put together a very competitive campaign very quickly. And motorsport is a privilege to be able to do it, and it's an expensive one. Even the alleged budget categories, it still takes a lot of money to not only get onto the grid, but who wants to get onto a grid and not be competitive, So me learning fast with all the benefits of being able to have Terry Lewis as my brother to help me, in the workshop, and probably a great man once said, and that great man would be Luke Webber, once said that 70% of its racing's done in the workshop. And then obviously by having the assistance of Ryan Gorton, a 2 times champion, helping me as a team manager and all that sort of stuff, and having pit crew and all that sort of thing, that was obviously something that I wasn't really doing it on a budget, but I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if I could get all of my knowledge and then transmit that into a program where knowledge is shared, there's a level playing field, everyone's got access to all the little bits and pieces that made me competitive. What if I could do that? And so it's not like a 2 or a 3 or a 4 horse race. I love the idea. I want Formula RX8 to be a 20 horse race, and everyone equal, and get those costs down, everywhere from entry fees to parts, spares, and also the ability to, and I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but I don't mind, promotion's kind of my thing, and I love the idea of also helping our races in Formula RX8 help them try and get sponsors as well, because it all comes down to a net cost, doesn't it? And so if you've got sponsorship coming in, and we get the big sponsors to hopefully help us promote the category, that alleviates the pressure on us, and so we can do things like sell things at cost. It's against our policy, isn't it, Stacey, to profit tier out of our races. We're working on development as well, so development and making the package more reliable. You want an engine to last 2 seasons, not two engines a season. And so we're working on all those types of things with some of our originating committee members like Roland Varga and all the rest of it. But the whole idea is to get those costs down and get that level playing field so we can go gold panning and find great talent. A little bit like you, pal.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. And for someone like myself, I don't go racing without the sponsors, as you can probably see in the background.
Yes.
So, we barely do it in Formula V anyway. But like you were saying, you need an affordable category. And something like this is going to be a changer for, it's going to change grassroots motorsport as we know it. And, when you two come in like this and make an awesome category that, is affordable, you're on national TV, what more can you get out of it, really?
Yeah, for sure. It's an honour to be representing and have that calendar running under the AASA banner with the High Tech All Super Series. It's a total privilege. Literally, worst case scenario, you can tell your grandma to whack on SBS or Fox or KO, and watch your grandson rip around the track in 7 national races, including Bathurst, which is super cool.
Yeah, so is that sort of still looking to go ahead? Because your website's very feasible, it's very easy to use, and there's a few rounds that are still being confirmed. So how's Phillip Island looking, and how's Bathurst looking?
I think Stacey would be the best guy to talk about Phillip Island, because that's come up just recently.
So we have a couple of options to race at Phillip Island this year, but what we're really trying to do is put it out to the members, and let them take a decision on whether they want to go, whether they want to support it. If they do, we can add that to the calendar. And and Bathurst is a flagship event for not just Australian motorsport, but it's a bucket list race to tick off global motorsport. And I say that as somebody that used to be sent the VHS videos for many years for Bathurst, so I'm a big fan.
Do you know what VHS means, Ayrton?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
The one after paper tape. But and because of that, they're in demand, and we know that our organisers are working through that at the moment. So we'll expect those announcements soon.
Yeah, and it's going to be an awesome thing. And like you were saying with the rotaries, trying to get the most out of it I think will be crucial, because not saying they're a bad car, but rotaries have had a bit of a bad name attached to them when it comes to reliability. So if you can make a reliable race car, I think that's going to be awesome for the category.
I think there's no reason why we can't. I mean, I've raced rotaries for many years in the UK, and I was, my go-to is that you will get 2 seasons out of a race engine before you need to do much more than an afternoon strip down, seal rebuild. And by that, every season was 12 rounds. Plus testing days, and it was a fairly hard season. That engine would be torn down with fresh seals and put together. Same engine would be put together again, and generally would go again for another year of that sort of use. So rotaries, have their shortcomings, but I think they probably have their shortcomings more on the road. And I say that as a road user of rotaries too. And maybe when you start putting big turbochargers on them. But, I think we've got a good handle on what makes, what will improve the reliability of RX8 Renesis engines in particular. And we've got those changes coming this year.
Yeah, that's super positive to hear, because, I myself, I love rotaries just because, you can drive them up to 9,000 RPM. It's so cool what you can do with them. And,
Aren't they the best?
What was that, sorry?
Aren't they the best? I love it. Listen, honestly, Ayrton, I've owned every single car you can think of. Think of it, I can guarantee I've owned it at some stage of my life or done a massive burnout in it. And, mate, these RX8s, they are so special. Massive, big shout out to the RX8 Club of Australia, who really helped us, get a push along, and they were our first social media post. We were only on Facebook. I couldn't be bothered downloading the other apps, but but these RX8s, they just handle so well, and they brake. And you're driving a car when you got 3 pedals, and you got a manual gearbox, and and 9,000 RPM, and just listen to it scream. It throws flames out the back. Oh, mate, it's a marketer's dream, the platform, and we are going to make it more reliable, 100%. It's in our best interest for our members to make sure that every single facet, whether it's we're selling, a grid position at cost, or we're helping them promote and to get sponsors as well, but also making sure reliability is up there. Because I'm telling you, what it's like. You've been around the block, Ayrton. A blown engine's, a cheap one's 10 grand. Yeah. So it's all encompassing, mate. We're there's not an angle that we haven't thought of that we are in a very meaningful way addressing.
Yeah. And I just had a few technical questions about the cars. Do they run semi-slicks, or do they run a full slick and a full wet? Like, what's going on with that?
We don't go for slicks and full wets, and the reason for that primarily is cost. So, again, driving the costs down for everyone, we're looking to have a single tyre, which is a Nankang AR1, which and that's the tyre that we'll allow in the series for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and it's looking good. You're using a one compound, one tyre. It's looking super cheap from sort of someone like myself. I race Formula V, so a regular person who races Formula V, because I do it a bit cheaper with the sponsors, doesn't get anything out of maybe $4,000 a round. I'd say it probably costs a regular Formula V driver $4,000 a round. Probably costs an XL driver $2,000 a round in state series. So when if you want to move up into something, this looks like a good step because of the coverage you're getting, the cars you're racing, and the reliability that comes with it. It's like there's so many positives, and by the looks of it, so few negatives. So I'm really liking the look of this.
The cars look really good on the trailer.
Yeah.
I stopped racing for quite a while, and then my COVID project was to go racing again and build a car. And when I was looking around for what those categories were, I looked at all those ones you were describing. Pulsars, XLs, Toyota 86, and I had no particular love of an RX8 particularly. But when I sort of assessed them and said, well, from a value for money perspective, the RX8 is at the sort of bottom end of that range to run, but it looks like the top of the range when you're cruising around with the car on a trailer. So I think they're attractive cars, and you know what, they are great to drive. I mean, properly great. I bought a road car because I thought I need to do my homework, and I just enjoy driving it. There's not many cars. I've driven a few cars in my time, and there aren't many cars that really give that experience, and nothing that gives that experience at that money.
Yeah, nothing. And you've got to drive the hell out of them to go anywhere, and that's the point. There's some cars these days that are like doing 100 kilometres an hour in first gear. And you don't even think about plucking second. All of a sudden, you're 20 kilometres over the speed limit. You're gone. I think you've got to be in third gear to get up to that with the RX8.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah, and look, you're coming down, if I can liken rotary racing to a mindset shift, which is, you're coming down to that chicane and you've got 7,000 revs on the engine and you're looking to change down. That takes a little time to sort of get used to.
Yeah. And on the subject of XLs and Pulsars and the other sort of I suppose you call budget category, I actually don't think there's such a thing as a budget category. Because it is, no matter what, it's an unusual amount of money to spend per round for your hobby. you could take up cricket, which would be a hell of a lot less and be a hell of a lot more boring. Sorry to all the cricket fans out there. But, if you look at, the XLs and the Pulsars, and not throwing shade, but, front-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive, they're two completely different attitudes. And also, and what we're looking to do, in fact, we're having a very exciting meeting tomorrow with the DRA team for the TA2 series. We're looking to be that development category, because we are rear-wheel drive. There's a lot of similarities with, learning setup and all that sort of stuff to help develop into, the TA2 series or better.
Yeah. And just going back to the start of what you said, like the budget categories, unless you're doing time attacks where you're racing against the clock, after you leave time attacks and move where you start to race people side by side, the price drives right up. There's nothing. You pay $30 to do a Kana cross or a Moto Kana where you race against the clock, and then when you go to race state series, you're up for $1,000 nearly just for the entry.
Yeah.
It's so incredible, the difference between, a time attack where you're by yourself and a budget category, which is, way more expensive.
Will be nose to tail. Yeah, look, you will be nose to tail in Formula RX8. The cars are very close. You are driving alongside people, and it's probably it's one make racing. So you do get that competitive. You will be slipstreaming. You will be trying to outbrake them at the end of the straight by braking 20 minutes later. It's very tight. It's really exciting.
Guilty.
I thought we weren't going to go there.
Oh, we're just guilty. One mistake. It's the end of my racing career. Yeah.
And what sort of are they running? Obviously, you'd have to run some sort of custom brakes, custom suspension. What's the underneath looking at?
You run stock. So it's reliable. It's we obviously the hubs and the calipers are stock. In terms of the pads, we're looking at using they're currently free as I talk to you now, but we're in talks with somebody to do a specific pad for the category. So there'll be more on that probably in our series of announcements in January.
Yeah.
And discs are free, except that they need to be one piece. So, generally people are just using those pretty cost-effective DBA solid or slotted discs, and that combination works pretty well. I mean, again, you are constrained by the tyre and the ABS system for brakes. For suspension, we allow the use of the MCA Blues because they're in common racing usage at the moment with a number of RX8s, and we think they're comparable. And again, we've got an announcement due in our sort of January series for a Formula RX8 specific damper spring arrangement that'll be very good quality local service, and we're pretty excited about that. But we'll be announcing that soon.
It's pretty amazing how many people are just like, hell yeah, this is cool. Yeah, we've been open for business. I mean, I've been blurting this out for the last 3 weeks now.
Yeah, well, we had a campaign for 7 days, and
the registrations were amazing. I mean, it's really cute. We get lots of people, that own an RX8. That I'm saying, if you got an RX8, let us build you one. And we get lots of people sort of ringing up saying, I want to race my RX8, and do I need to have a roll cage? So we got a few of them, but it's really cool because they're just all tragics like all of us. I mean, but we've had a lot of really good people reach out to us, that are in other categories at the moment that want to come along. We just interviewed a great guy who's, he's literally a pilot that's done all of his training in the ice fields of Siberia and Russia, of all places, and he wants to. He's literally lining up with John Boston to get his OLT. We're looking for a car for him, and at the moment, and he's going to get plenty of seat time in before round 1 in April, which is really good because, we get this buffer to be able to prepare. And but we've got a lot of great announcements coming in January with various partnerships and filling in a lot of the dots and a bit of the mystery that's surrounding the category at the moment.
Yeah. it's definitely a category I'd love to be involved in, but depending on what the budget does, I've got to see first of all. But
Let's just make. Listen, Ayrton, mate. There's Peter Brock used to say this: bite off more than you could chew, and chew like mad. So, mate, let's just reverse engineer this point, and let's just make that happen. You know, I'm all about, and so Stacy is about. Let's just, let's if you've got that, if you've got that will to be able to do that, we're attacking this from all different points, from promotion to cost of entry to reliability. We're looking at everything so we can go gold pounding and find those little gold nuggets. And let's face it, I know you're doing the open wheeler stuff at the moment, but mate, this is so close. And there's times where a little bit of paint scrubbing is not the end of the world.
Well,
right?
It sounds to be cheaper than Formula V. We should add that.
Yeah,
to our list.
I know.
Yeah, well, Formula V's not going too well for me anyway, so if I can jump out of it, I'd be all right.
Bigger billboards too, mate, for your sponsor.
But no, that's true. You find it hard to get real estate on it.
So I tell you, this is a message to Ayrton sponsors right now. The billboard that is an RX8 is much better than
I'll
what it's in at the moment.
certainly get bigger stickers.
Yeah. And by the way, who doesn't want a kid called Ayrton racing in their series? Like, you know what I mean? Jesus Christ. How cool.
Yeah.
How cool.
Well, my parents never wanted me to race. This is the funny thing. Dad had always been a fan of Senna for, what he stood for and his talent. And it happened, that one day they decided to stupidly take me rental karting, and I wouldn't stop begging him for an actual go-kart until I got one. So, but look, when you've sort of come through the ranks like myself, I don't want to be the sob story, but I've never really had the equipment of others, and the amount of trophies I walked away from karting with and stepped into cars, and I've been able to show on occasions when I've got the equipment under me, I can perform really well. I sometimes wish there was more opportunity for drivers who don't have the budget to just get into something and do really well, because all the equipment's the same.
You are the reason why we're doing this, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I think, Justin and I both understand nobody wins a race on a mule, so, a donkey's never going to win a decent horse race. So, you have to have a set of regulations that allow people to play on a level playing field, and you have to police those regulations as a level playing field independently. So, that's the structure that we set up, which is an association with a committee. Is independent. So, if I'm racing at events, I won't be making decisions on, penalties or otherwise. That's for the stewards, and that's for the, for the organisers to deal with. We just want to make sure that it's genuinely a level playing field, not just in the cars, but in the application of those rules. Yes,
absolutely. And I'm going to give you this huge news scoop, Ayrton. I'm going to be resigning from the committee the day before our first round, because I don't want any conflicts of interest as far as that. No, I'm going to be racing to win the championship, 100%. And I'd love to see, and at the same time, I'm going to be selling and promoting the category, and also the drivers in the category. I'm going to be trying to find you a sponsor, right? If you come on board, and any other, I'll talk to anyone, mate. If it means it's going to benefit our members, mate, hand me the soapbox, let me get on top of it, and hold my beer.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. I really do appreciate it. And look, it's an opportunity I'd love to, welcome with wide arms, because it's definitely a step up for me. It's definitely not a step backwards. And I don't want to come across as rude, but I'm going to give a reality check. Karting is not a budget sport. People make it, it's an easy way to get into the motorsport, and it's budget. It's not. When we raced, we were over 4-5 years of karting. We spent something nearly $100,000, and we knew kids who in one season could spend $100,000. And that it's so stupid, honestly. And I don't think people believe when I say cars can actually be cheaper than go-karting. And when you bring a category like Formula RX8 that are offering a capped entry fee, which is already cheaper than State Series. You're getting more coverage than State Series. I think it's personally going to be awesome for Grassroots Motorsport, which is what I'm promoting up here.
Yeah. Mate, we're so happy you see it, and you're a young guy, and you're seeing what we're doing here, and mate, that's very flattering and very rewarding for myself and Stacy, and also the team at Formula RX8.
Yeah, look, I hope the project goes super well, and I'd love to be a part of it, honestly.
Let's have a meaningful conversation, Ayrton, and let's tailor make something and make sure you're on the grid come April. And I really mean that, mate. I will make you hand me a number. I'll make a call, right? And I'll make sure that you've got a unbelievably thoroughly checked and prepared car. I'll make sure you've got all the knowledge on setup, and I'll even do my best to make sure on track you're getting set up as well.
Cool. I really appreciate that, Justin. But I have to finish second to you, don't I? I'm not allowed to bet you.
No, mate, no, that's bullshit. No way, not at all, mate. Look,
nobody's finishing second to Justin. Don't worry. If I've got the opportunity to send one, I'll be sending it.
None of that stuff, mate. Look, there's actually a really nice bit of footage if you catch it. Me and a young driver, Jack Penachia, great kid, really, and great father and son team. And I love seeing father and son teams. We had a really good
mum team.
And mum team. Yeah, Thomas and his mum. Yeah, I know.
No, Jack and his mum and his dad.
For sure.
You're cutting Jack's mum out of the.
Sorry, Jack's mum. We had a real good stoush at really close racing at the last double ASA event at Sydney Motorsport Park. You can actually see it if you go to the Yell Express YouTube page. And at the end of it, mate, he beat me, and I got out of the car and I shook his hand, gave him a hug, and that's what it's all about for us, mate. It's best man wins, but we've got to make sure everyone's got that level playing field. That's what I'm huge on.
Yep, 100%. Best man wins, but at the end of the day, you've got to be able to get out of the car and shake your opponent's hand and say good race, because there's no point getting out of a car angry. And for someone like myself, every weekend in a car, I'm happy. Because for someone like myself who, I'm kind of just making it to the races, I don't know which one could be my last, so I've got to enjoy it. You know what I mean? So it's motorsport's a respect thing as much as it's a winning thing.
100%. And you know what? If you make a mistake, it's really important to go up and attempt to at least shake hands and sort of, and leave what happens on the tarmac, literally there. And it's important to sort of move forward and understand that, there's risks in motorsport, and sometimes people make mistakes, and you've just got to get on with life and move on. But yeah, absolutely, the respect thing's huge, mate. Yeah,
100%. And while I've got you two here, is there anyone you'd like to sort of thank for getting the category to where it's not even started yet? That's the funny thing. But is there any people or companies you'd like to thank for sort of getting on board already to make this sort of thing happen?
Stephen White and Shannon.
Yeah, and, another person I'd like to thank is George Gambino from High Tech. And he funds the High Tech All Super Series, and he's not only a great bloke for doing that and promoting motorsport in Australia, but also he's come on board as a direct sponsor of Formula RX8. So absolutely. While I'm on a roll, I'd like to thank you, Stacy, because you're an utterly credible guy as far as your background in motorsport in the UK, and you know things that I would glaze over if I got asked the question. I've definitely got my sort of wheelhouse in the promotion side of things, but mate, without you and the hard work that you're putting in, and also our team as well, we've got a really. If you look at our startup committee, some great people.
Yeah, look, it's not a one-man show. We've got Roland Varga.
Yeah.
And Roland is known in rotary Renesis circles as the tuner for these cars. It's great to have him on board.
And he's helping us with the reliability issues, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've got a really credible committee. And
Ryan Gorton, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Amazing kid from amazing family. And there's every chance that Ryan's father Lee will be competing in the Formula RX8 series next year.
So I hear.
Now, everyone's saying it could be for the second championship because we've got a handicap championship. But you know what? He's a Gorton. He could very well, I don't know. Who knows, mate?
Well, yeah, guys, honestly, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast today. It's been an honor talking to you two, and hopefully we can set something up in the future because I'd love to be a part of the name. Formula RX8. I'd love to be being ambassador for all the stuff here. But look, guys, thank you so much for jumping on. Your experience, your intellect, it's all sort of going to make this podcast shine. So, guys, thank you for jumping on and keep doing what you're doing because the category is going to look awesome when it's done.
Awesome stuff, Ayrton. And get your dad to give me a call. Let's work out a way to get you on the grid.
Cool. Thank you, Justin, and thank you, Stacey, as well. Really appreciate it.
No worries, legend. Have a good day, mate.
See you soon. Bye-bye.